So hello everyone. Welcome to the FI Women Community Podcast. I'm your host, Sharita, and I'm super excited. We're going to record the podcast in just a second. If you're watching this video, make sure to hit the like button and comment below to let us know where you're watching it from. I'm from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and our guest is from South Dakota, the United States. And we're curious to know where you're from. But most important, if you don't like and you don't comment, just make sure you say hello to our guest. Her name is Heather Fergen, and I'll start. Hello, Heather. How are you?
Hello.
Great.
Thanks for having me on today.
You're welcome. So Heather's expertise revolves around virtual assistance work, blogging about practical, frugal, and everyday tips you can use. Are there any other questions you have for the FI women community already, or?
No, I've just enjoyed being part of the community for like the last year and learning from so many others. So I'm just excited to be here to be able to give back a little bit to the community that I've learned more from.
Great, awesome. Okay, so to the FI women community, feel free to comment your questions below. Me or Heather will answer all of your questions. Let's get started with the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Women's Fire Community Podcast. I'm very excited. We've got a very special guest. A little about this person first. She runs her own VA business, has 2 blogs, Hojo's Life Adventures, where she shares tips on saving money, parenting, marriage, and recipes, and Hojo's Teaching Adventures. Did I say it right?
Adventures. Yep.
I'm struggling here. So that's the blog where you help others set up their VA business. Am I right?
So it's more of a helping teachers, and the VA part is just kind of on the side. It completely happened by accident. So
okay. I want to hear more about it. So without further ado, let's welcome Heather. So I'd like to start off my podcast with an inspirational quote that inspires or fires you up. Do you have one?
Oh, goodness. You really put me on the spot here. Not off the top of my head. I always have a little Post-it or sticky like in front of me, just kind of like something I'm personally working on. And my, I guess, mantra you could say right now is to just stop overthinking everything. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Stop overthinking and do it.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, your expertise is virtual assistance, VA, and I love to get some tips from you. So, but let's just start at the beginning. What is VA exactly? Can you explain?
Well, so it's funny you asked, because kind of like I just mentioned, I got started by complete and total accident. A friend had called me and said, Heather, you should be my VA. You've been blogging for a few years now. You're good at social media. And I was like, you're V what? And she had to tell me, like, I literally had no idea. This was in 2015. And she's like, it's a virtual assistant. Like, you would help me blog and you would help post to my Facebook. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I guess I could do that. So yeah, but a virtual assistant can be anything you want it to be, really. It can be anything from setting up reminders and meetings to editing and proofreading things, to writing the blog post, to taking pictures. Anything a business owner may need, they could hire out to a virtual assistant. So for me, it became social media, blog post writing, turned into SEO, and then eventually got to be where it was just Pinterest management. But it's kind of whatever your strengths are or whatever you would enjoy doing. So it can vary a great deal.
Great. And then so when your friend asked you, what decided for you that how did you decide to just go for it?
Well, so my son was born in early 2015, and I had just left my very secure full family benefit job. And I was making like $300 a month at that point in my online ventures. And all of a sudden she was offering me $300 a month to help her for 5 hours a week. And I mean, so I doubled my income, and I was like, no brainer. At that point in my own journey, I'm at home with like, I don't know, I guess a 4 or 5 month old, and I had some extra time on my hands, and it was like, well, of course, because that'll help cover insurance and stuff. So yeah, I guess the just do it kind of fit me back then too. It just made sense. It wasn't anything that outside of my comfort zone. And it was just guaranteed money, where all my other online ventures at that point really weren't producing much.
Yeah. Okay. Seems like a good new option that crossed your path. And
Yeah, it really fell into my lap at the perfect time. So I was very appreciative of that.
good, nice. And then I had a little chat with you earlier, and you talked about your FI journey. You're more
Yeah.
on the slow FI path. And would you say this might match with your FI aspirations as well?
Yeah,
As,
it definitely helped us with our FI journey, just because I was able, so I actually did the VA work on the side of like my own businesses. And because of that, I was able to kind of ramp up the other side. And then once I knew what a VA actually was, I started hiring them myself too, which has been just phenomenal for the growth in my own. I sell teacher resources like puzzles and games and printables for teachers to use. So it was really helpful. So yeah, there's no doubt it helped with our FI journey.
Great. So now that we're talking a little bit about money as well, I want to know, how much can a VA on average make in a month? And then the most important question, how long does it take for someone to get to that level?
Yeah, so it varies so much. I was completely clueless, obviously, had to even ask what a VA was. And it took me, I landed that first client by accident. I got the second one, I think 3 or 4 months later, got my third client like another 3 or 4 months later. So it was really slow, I feel like, where now online you can go and you can find all these Facebook groups. I don't know if I was just oblivious to them or if they've popped up in the last 6 years, maybe a combination of both. But so I went from 300 a month to, I think I landed the second client and got something like it combined 500 a month. But when I was at the peak of doing my VA work, I was making 3,000 a month. And that was with the help of associate VAs. So I had people under me doing some of the other work that was tough to do with and then I added another child to our family too. So I had a newborn and a 2-year-old, and then we added a puppy because, why not just add to the craziness? So I added associates, but it's really what you want to make of it. If you have 5 extra hours a week, I always recommend charging at least $20 an hour. At least here in the United States. I know that may convert a little differently, in other parts of the world and stuff, but you kind of look at it and see, what could I offer? How many free hours do I have? And for me, I knew I had 10 hours a week to devote to the VA business, which would still give me plenty of time for my kids and plenty of time for my other online ventures. So for me, I maxed out at $3,000 a month, but I know VAs that are making 5 digits. They're making 10 grand and more a month. Obviously not doing it all themselves. They're hiring some work out. So it's not 10 grand of pure profit, but it's really whatever you want to make of it. It can be just a little bit of change to maybe pay for those fun hobbies and activities, to paying off debt, to helping you on your FI journey. There's just so many options that it's, there's not one path that'll fit for everybody.
And it sounds like also the flexibility that it allows. I mean, you said you're combining it with your 2 kids, you have a dog, you have a whole household to run, and
Yep.
you know.
Yeah. It really it depends what you're wanting to do. I got to the point I specialized in Pinterest. Well, you can schedule those pins out, and I didn't have to sit right there the whole time. But it's going to depend what you do. Your employer, the person you work for, I shouldn't say employer, you're actually your own private contractor typically, or a freelancer, if you want to, whichever way you want to call it. But the person you're working for may need you a set number of hours, or they may just say, work your 10 hours a week and whatever works for you. I mean, it wasn't uncommon for me to be up from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Our son didn't go to bed till late when he was little. And those 4 hours would be my 4 hours for the day. and it was just a great way to get it in. So yeah, generally speaking, it is very flexible.
Awesome. Sounds like a perfect, opportunity, a way to make more money.
Yeah, as someone who is just starting to stay at home, I was so grateful that this landed in my lap, because I had no idea that it was even an option. And I live in rural South Dakota. I mean, I'm literally living in a town of 600 right now. So yeah, it's teeny tiny. We don't have a stoplight or anything, like no fast food, nothing. Yeah, people can't even imagine. But it's just that's such a blessing to me, because most jobs around here pay $7 to $10 an hour, and I'd have to go out and get daycare and be away from my kids. And now I can wear my pajama pants, sit at home with my kids, and make it work. Like it has been just amazing.
Awesome. It really sounds awesome. I just
Yeah.
briefly want to go back to where you said you see all those VAs online right now. I mean, I see those advertisements on Facebook or on Instagram everywhere all the time. Would you feel it's saturated, the VA business?
I do think that finding your initial clients can be kind of tough, just because there are a lot of people out there. But I know for me personally, it was all word of mouth. Like, those groups were not around. And I mean, yes, I posted a little bit. I kind of specifically worked with the teacher blogger folks, that niche or niche, whatever you guys call it. So I would kind of put, like, if somebody was like, I need help with Pinterest, like I can't figure it out, I'd be like, well, I would help if you're interested, and I'd post. Where now, yes, there is more competition, but if you can get your foot in the door and provide that really great service, like, it was all word of mouth referrals for me. I ended up at one point with 25 clients. So it was, people just, once they like you and trust you, they'll keep coming back and they'll tell their friends, and the word just spreads. So yeah, I mean, in some ways it can be saturated, and you need to figure out what you want to do and what your expertise is. I definitely changed over the years. I was kind of doing everything, and then by the end it was Pinterest. That's all I'm going to do. And now I actually only offer coaching services to other VAs or to teacher bloggers. I've just, my own side business kind of grew into the business. But yeah, so it's very possible to do it. It just may be hard to get started. But I mean, it took me 7 or 8 months to get 3 clients. So if you keep plugging along, it does work out.
Yeah. So would you say that that is the biggest challenge, getting started, getting your clients, or what would you describe as the biggest challenge in this VA business?
Yeah, for me, the biggest challenge was getting clients, but also I was just so clueless. Like, I couldn't find anything online, and I'd like to think I'm pretty search savvy. And for a while, this is embarrassing to even admit, but I was like manually tracking my time. I'd write down that I started at 1:01, and then my kid would scream, and I'd write down 1:05, and then beside it I'd write 4 and go run and take care of him and come back. And then, you're writing 1:20, and it's like, oh my goodness, there are timers for that. Like, how did I not know this? So I did things very backwards and very hard for a long time. So I do have a 5-day free email series for anybody that is interested and wants to just learn more, because it's basically those little things like that I was clueless about and didn't know were out there. And so I wanted to just be able to give those basics back to people, so that they don't have to start as clueless as I was, and they can have like a strong place to land, like groups to find. I'm trying to think what all is in that, because it was what I wanted when I started. So it's what tools to use that are free, how to go find people, what you can do, how you should charge. Because like I said, I had no idea. And I couldn't find it out there on the internet, because mostly it's just people trying to sell their services. It's not people telling you how to do it. So I did create that 5-day email challenge that maybe we can link to later. But yeah, that and finding clients, those were by far just the two big challenges I had. But I don't know, it's still, looking back, it wasn't that bad. It was so worth it to be able to be home with my kids. So
Yeah. So would you say that maybe your situation pushed you through that challenge, or what
yeah, I
pushed
mean,
you through?
it definitely could have, but at the same time, like I did have that other, the making the teacher printables, and I could have poured more time into that too. So I wasn't spending like hours and hours on the VA. It just, those first 3 clients were so hard. And then word of mouth, I don't know which one of them started bragging me up, I guess. But all of a sudden I went from 3 to 7 in like a month.
Oh
And it was
yeah.
like, whoa, I have like a business. What just happened? I'm not just playing and pretending. Like I went from 300 to 500 to 600 to like 1500 in a month. And it was really nice and completely unexpected.
I would say, if I hear you, if I listen to you, it's like providing value, whatever you do, even if it's just one client, and
Yep.
provide value. And then the second part is, um, after you've provided value, maybe you can, I lost it. I kind of really lost it. Oh God, let me think. um, I have to edit this out.
Well, you can definitely ask for like referrals. And I didn't know that either at the time. You could ask them, hey, I'm looking for more people. Or you could ask for like some kind of testimonial to put on your site, which I never did until just a year ago, like, which is kind of embarrassing, but I didn't need to, and I wasn't actively seeking work. So yeah, I didn't worry about it at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and then next question would be, you told me about how to, look for people. And do you know how can someone who wants to start a VA business decide how much to charge? You said about $20, but I mean, if you have more experience, maybe you want to go higher. If you're just starting out, you might want to start lower. How do we
Right.
get to a good amount?
It's hard. Well, and the thing too is once you've gotten some experience, so I got really good at Pinterest. So what I started to do then too was put it in packages, because what originally took me 2 hours to do might have started to take me just an hour and a half, or something, same thing, 6 hours started to take 4. So I just started packaging things. And then in some ways it made more sense to my clients, because they were like, oh my goodness, that would take me 10 hours. And you're only charging, I don't know what, 10 hours, I would have charged like $400. They're like, that would have taken me twice that time. So to them, it was a great value, where to me, I was like, okay, well, I'm charging 400, but it's really only going to take me 5 or 6, because I've gotten really efficient. I have these really great systems in place. I did start, you might want to start with somebody at like $12 or $15 just and then, but tell them like, we're going to do this on you could put it in your contract. We're going to do this on a 1 month or 2 month basis. At the end, I want feedback. We're going to have a little meeting. And know that they might leave. They may not be willing to pay that 20. And it's up to you if you want to continue to work for that lower amount, but at least then you get the testimonial. You might have something to add to your portfolio. But yeah, if you have something like more technical, like people that do design can sometimes charge more. If you're good with like WordPress, like setting up sites, those are definitely worth more. And I'm sure there's lots of other things. That's just kind of what comes to mind for me immediately. Or I know people that just write articles. They're the ghostwriter for articles. And I mean, it may take me 3 to 4 hours to write that article, and they crank it out in, let's say 30, 40 minutes. And they might be able to charge $75 or $100 for that. So part of it is just trial and error, because you don't really know until you find your people and what are you writing about and talking about. But also just don't undervalue your work. There are people out there that are willing to pay what you want. And I know for too long, I kept my rates really low. And I got to the point toward the end of offering my typical VA services, I was at $80 for some of the more specific things just because I didn't have time to do it. So I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, you're going to compensate me pretty well for it. And now, like with my coaching and things that I do offer, I'm at $100 an hour, and I don't get a lot of clients, which is fine. I don't really need or want a lot of clients right now since the other businesses have kind of backed off. But when people come to me and want services, they're happy to pay. So never undervalue, and just keep working at it if it's something you want to do.
That sounds very logical, the way you explain it.
Well, I feel like it was just so much trial and error over the years, because I mean, I started at 15 and now I'm at 100, and that's a huge jump. I wish we all got raises like that all the time. It doesn't work that way, but yeah, you just have to kind of see. And what like the teacher blogger area that I'm in, teachers tend to be pretty frugal with their money, so I know they're not going to pay as much versus like real estate people that are doing very well, or and that I guess depends too. Are you starting with a new blogger, or are you starting with somebody at that mid-level, or somebody with a ton of experience? Because they have different budgets, so it varies so much. So it's hard to give like a solid answer, but it can just, there's so many factors.
Yeah. So if you look back at your journey, when you started out with the friend who was asking you and where you are now, what is your number one golden tip for someone who wants to start their VA business today?
Communication. I mean, I messed up plenty with my clients over the years, but I was always very open, very honest. I would, if it was something I know I messed up, like I would fix it on my own time, not charge them for it. But I was always very open with communication. Like I always got back to them within 24 hours, because I feel like by keeping them in the loop, even if I did mess up, they knew I was working on it. They knew I worked to fix it. And in 6 years, I've only lost 2 clients ever. I mean, people have come and go, but I've had people leave and then come back. So to lose 2 clients that were, I guess, upset, if you will, in 6 years, I think is pretty good. Maybe others don't, but I was pretty proud of that. And I think it was because of my communication and just always keeping them up to date. I mean, it's their business, their baby. So I didn't ever want them to have a surprise with anything.
Yeah, that's good advice. Okay, well, I think I have one more last question.
Okay.
Were, or maybe still you have, any mentors or any good books that have helped you in your VA business?
I didn't really have any mentors, just because, like I said, I couldn't find anything out there. Now I'm in a couple Facebook groups that we kind of are able to bounce ideas off of one another, like VA mastermind groups. But since I'm not providing as much of that service, it's not quite as much of a mentorship, I guess. But just like various entrepreneurship books, like the 4-Hour Workweek really helped me to think about hiring out more stuff so I could work less. I think that's why I was able to go down to only working 10 hours a month, or excuse me, 10 hours a week, but making that $3,000 a month, because it just helped me look at things from a different perspective. I didn't want to necessarily travel the world like he did with my 2 little kids, but it helped me out in that way. Just some of those different leadership and entrepreneur books. I don't know that anything else really pops into mind other than that 4-Hour Workweek, but I've read so many books the last 5 or 6 years that makes my head spin to think about even trying to think of titles. So
yeah, but I think that is a good book to read.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, even if you don't want to be a VA, you should read it.
Yeah. Okay, Heather, I'm sure there's going to be people that are listening to this and watching this video and think, okay, this is an awesome woman. How do we get in touch with you? How do we connect? Can we find you somewhere on social media?
Yeah, so I'm kind of all over the place, just because of the different blogs and everything. But the best place to find me is heatherfergen.com, FERGEN.com. I've got like kind of links to everything there. So you could sign up for that 5-day email series. You can check out my teaching blog, my life blog. the VA coaching kind of quiet, neglected blog. But that's the best place to find me.
Yeah, well, let's say if people can comment with the hashtag VA, and then we'll get them the link to the 5-day email subscription.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And yeah, well, that was pretty much it for today.
Okay.
Do you have something you want to finish this session with? Or did I forget something to ask?
No, I don't think you forgot anything. I guess my only, I feel like I'm kind of bring that front thing back around, like just start. If this is something you want to do, you're not going to be perfect to start with. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to know what to charge. You're not going to know exactly what to do, but put yourself out there and start, because you can't make any progress if you just sit in the background figuring it all out. Just put yourself out there and get started.
Thank you. Awesome addition and perfect loop.
Yeah, right?
Well, that's it for the podcast for the FI Women community. Make sure to thank our guest Heather and leave any questions you may have in the comment section below so me or Heather can answer them. Heather, thank you for your insights on how to start a VA business and your journey to your VA business. And we chat.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.